So when you think about Elvis Presley's home, Graceland, I mean, for so many of us, it's not always the mansion itself that jumps out first.
Right.
It's those gates, the music gates. They're
Right.
just, well, they're iconic, aren't
Oh,
they?
totally. They're like a visual shorthand for, the king and everything he represents.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, isn't it, with all the recent news about Graceland?
The potential sale, you mean?
Exactly. That whole legal situation, Riley Keough trying to stop it, citing fraud related to her mother's affairs. It really just underlines how important Graceland still is, every piece of it.
Absolutely. I mean, think about it. March 1957, Elvis is just 22 years old, buys this place.
Seems like a bargain now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
$102,500.
Incredible. And it goes from being his private home to
Yeah.
this museum, a landmark, even his final resting place, him and his family.
Yeah.
But today we're zooming in, doing a real deep dive on one specific part, those music gates. We want to get past just how cool they look, understand the story, when did they go up, who made them, and like why those gates specifically.
Okay, let's start with the purchase then. That $125,557.
Right.
To put that in perspective, I mean, average house prices were way, way lower then. This was a serious investment for someone really just hitting that massive level of fame.
And his parents were involved early on.
Yeah, kind of a neat detail. They put down the first $1,000, a $1,000 deposit. And they actually lived there for a bit before Elvis even moved in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't officially move until June 26th, 1957. He was busy filming Jailhouse Rock at the time.
Wow. Imagine trying to set up a private life while you're filming Jailhouse Rock. The fame must have been immediate.
Oh, for sure. And that leads right into the security aspect, doesn't it? Even though it was meant to be his private spot, security was an issue from day one.
So the wall came first.
That's right. Pretty soon after buying it, he had that Alabama fieldstone wall built, the first layer of protection, you could say.
Okay, makes sense.
But what's really interesting is how fast the next layer came.
The gates.
The music gates, the ones everyone knows. They went up really soon after the wall. We're talking April 22nd, 1957.
Wait, April. He only bought it in March.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Less than a month later, things moved fast.
So who actually, designed and built them? They're so distinctive.
Well, the design itself was commissioned from a guy named Abe Saucer.
Abe Saucer. Not a name I recognize.
No, probably not a famous architect or anything. It seems like maybe a local Memphis artisan.
Yep.
Sort of fits with Elvis connecting to his roots, wanting something unique, not just standard gates.
Yeah, okay.
And the actual custom build was done by John Dillers Jr. from Memphis Doors, Inc.
Memphis Doors, okay.
And we even know the cost. It's kind of amazing.
How much?
The whole thing, back in 1957 dollars, was $1,339.
Wow.
And that wasn't just for the ironwork. That price included the electric gate operators.
Yeah.
And get this, 3 remote car controls. High tech for 57.
3 remotes. That's brilliant. So, okay, he had the big stone wall already. Why the need for these really elaborate gates right after? Was the wall not enough?
Well, security was definitely part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems even with the wall, really eager fans were still finding ways up the driveway, apparently right up to the front door ringing the bell.
Oh, wow, okay.
So the gates added another barrier, a more formal one, maybe more of a psychological deterrent too, clearly marking this is private.
And this is the interesting part I always think. He didn't just lock himself away, did he?
Not at all. That's the paradox.
Right. You hear all these stories about him coming down to the gates.
Yeah, he'd meet fans there sometimes, sign autographs, chat for a minute. It shows that constant balancing act, maybe, between needing privacy and staying connected to the people who loved his music.
Definitely. And the design itself speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. They aren't just functional, that whole sheet music design.
Like an open book when they're closed.
Exactly. With the notes and those little figures of Elvis playing guitar. It's just instantly him.
Pure Elvis. It's like his brand right there at the entrance. You cross from the busy public Elvis Presley Boulevard.
Into his world.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a statement piece. Not just keep out, but this is who lives here.
That symbolism is so strong.
And, that company, Dillard Door, their connection didn't stop after the installation.
Oh, yeah.
They kept doing the service work on the gate operators through the 60s. So there was an ongoing relationship there.
Interesting. Like keeping the drawbridge working.
Kind of. And John Dillard Sr., the owner back then, he actually got to know Elvis's dad, Vernon Presley, a bit during those service calls.
Really?
Yeah, apparently Vernon was quite the character. People who knew him said he was interesting.
I bet.
And there's this great little story. John Dillard Sr. was at Graceland one time, just waiting, and the phone inside rings.
Okay.
So he answers it. And who's on the other end?
Elvis.
Elvis himself, just politely asking to speak to his mother.
Huh. That's fantastic. It makes him seem so normal for a second.
Exactly. Little glimpses of everyday life behind the gates, amidst all the craziness.
That's a great anecdote.
And it gets better, sort of.
Yeah.
Years later, Dillard Door still had some of the original equipment from those 57 gates.
No way.
Yeah, and apparently some guy who was building a replica of Graceland somewhere else.
Someone built a replica.
Seems so. And he actually bought that original equipment off Dillard Door.
That's incredible. Shows how obsessed people are with every little detail.
It really does. And obviously the real gates, they're not just some historical footnote. They're a huge draw today.
Oh, absolutely. When people visit Graceland, it's the mansion, the meditation garden where he's buried, and the gates.
Definitely top 3.
Yeah.
And, Graceland became a National Historic Landmark in 2006. And when they announced that, the Secretary of the Interior specifically mentioned Elvis's, quote, irreversible impact on American culture. You can't really separate that impact from the image of Graceland, and especially those gates. They're the front door to the legend.
Such a powerful symbol. And it wasn't just tourists later on, right? During his life, fans were always there.
Always. Constantly lined up outside, hoping for a glimpse. That was part of the Graceland experience, even then.
Just hanging out by the gates.
Yeah, hoping he might come out. And sometimes he did. Or at least waved from behind them, signed a few things. It was this ongoing thing, this interaction point.
That negotiation between public and private again.
Exactly. And the fans sort of made the space their own too, didn't they?
You mean like writing on the wall?
Yeah. That tradition started almost as soon as he moved in. People just started leaving messages on the stone wall.
Wow.
And the original mailbox apparently got so covered in signatures and notes they had to keep repainting it.
That's amazing fan dedication.
It is. There's even a story, maybe apocryphal, maybe not, you see online sometimes, about Lisa Marie, Elvis's daughter.
Okay.
Apparently, when she was younger, she'd sometimes playfully interacted with fans at the gates, too. Like joking about selling signed photos for a couple of bucks.
That's funny. Shows that connection continued through the family.
Yeah, that threshold, those gates, they just hold so much history, so many interactions.
So if we boil it all down, what are the main things to remember about these famous gates?
Okay, key points. They went up in April 1957, really soon after he bought the place.
Right, building on that initial stone wall.
Primarily for security and privacy, because the fans were, well, very enthusiastic.
Got it.
Designed by Abe Saucer, built by Memphis Doors. But they weren't just functional.
No, that music design is everything.
Totally. It reflects his identity, who he was, and they've become this, ultimate symbol of his legacy. And we can't forget Dillard Door keeping them running.
Good point.
The operational side. So yeah, in the end, the Graceland Music Gates, they really stand for Elvis trying to manage that crazy level of fame.
Finding that line between his private world and the public's fascination.
Exactly. And there's still this huge focal point for everyone visiting today, a physical gateway to his story.
It does make you think, though, these gates were a reaction to fame in the 50s. How do figures like that navigate it today? With social media everywhere, 247 coverage. What are the modern gates? What boundaries do they even try to put up now?
That's a really interesting question to ponder, isn't it? How has that whole dynamic changed? What does privacy even look like for someone that famous today?